Financial Group. Hope everybody is having the time of your life. I wanted to sneak up on you and introduce myself and kick off this channel. And I thought, what better way to kick it off than this topic? So, this is why I did not quit Symmetry Financial Group. Many of you have seen the stories and read up on Glassdoor and on Indeed and maybe you see this and you're like, man, this is incredible. I need to be a part of this. And other people are thinking like, man, this is incredible, but I need to check this out. And maybe make sure it's going to be safe and whatever. So I wanted to be able to provide some perspective for you on the reasons why this worked for me, right? And I'm not telling you that it's gonna work for you. I'm telling you that if you take some of this stuff with you, and you're planning on starting here with a company like Symmetry Financial Group, that if you put these things in action, your chances of succeeding are going to be super high. So one of the reasons that led me here is one of the reasons why I didn't quit, and that reason was leads, right? I found a place where, there again, I come from cold selling. I was doing door-to-door sales prior to coming here with Symmetry Financial Group. So shout out to all my door-to-door people, and especially my meat men. And that's what I sold. And I knocked on the right door and sold some steaks. And he passed on a card, and I called him up and said, "What's Symmetry Financial Group?" And I can remember getting excited because of leads, right? He said, what if you were in the same industry, or if you were in the meat industry and you had leads? People had already requested your help. How many of these people would you be able to sell? And I'm thinking, man, all of them. And, I could have been further from the truth. And what I realized, I'm not going to sell everybody. But there are a lot of families who need my help. It didn't seem like in the very beginning. I struggled for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of selling nothing, 4.5 weeks of not being able to book any appointments, period. Like I was getting objections after objection, all kinds of stuff, right? Like, I never sent that in, and I'm looking at their handwriting, Lord. Like, I've already gotten it taken care of. Or you're the third person to call me on this in the last month, or whatever the case was. And I was a little discouraged behind it. One of the reasons that, besides leads, why I stayed here, because I realized that it wasn't the leads, it was myself, but I realized that I had a mentor. I realized that there was a proven system of people that had went ahead of me and had great success here. And so when I started to utilize that, which I didn't do right away, that was my mistake. I wanted to kind of figure it out on my own. Even though I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, I took a stance that that's what I was doing, and I wanted to be known and all that good stuff. And I fell on my face over and over and over and over again. And I reached out to my mentor and I said, I know you don't know me very well, but one thing I learned about me is I'm not a quitter. I don't care what I need to do, what books I need to read, who I need to talk to. I'm willing to do it. And so my mentor, reason number 2 is mentorship. My mentor was able to walk me through exactly what I need to do next, right? And he gave me some perspective, and he got me on the phone with some other insurance agents who had started with him. Some of them had been here a couple of years and had some success. Some of them 6 months had some success, but they all had the struggles at some point, right? And they had all worked themselves through it. So I get on the phone and I'm kind of just hashing it out with them, and I'm talking about how things are going, and they gave me some great feedback, some great advice, some tips that I was able to take to the phone with me that same night. And I booked 20 appointments where I couldn't book any at first, right? And then I thought, man, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And so I was working super part-time. I went out and worked, this business around my old business, which was my full-time job at that point. And I ran those first 12 appointments and I sold nothing. And, in selling nothing, I got discouraged again. And maybe this isn't for me, all this wasted time, all this money that I put into leads. And I could have been out doing my full-time job and making more money, or whatever the case, of all these things that came to my mind. And, I got back on the phone with that same group of people, 3 people, and my mentor, who were willing to coach me through, hey, this is what happens when I go in the home and I get that objection, or this is how you avoid there again that objection. And so I went back out that weekend. I didn't have my full-time job that weekend. I was taking it off to just focus on getting good at this. And I went back out. I sat down with 6 families out of the 8, and I was able to help every single one of them, right? And broke $10,000 in production. And I saw as a brand new producer, in 2 days, I made more money in that 2 days than I would have made in any 2 week period of time in my last business. And so one of the things, the third reason is because, well, those people didn't have to. They didn't have to tell me their secrets, but the culture here is one where, well, people, I really felt like they wanted me to win just as bad as they wanted to win themselves, right? Regardless of the fact that they weren't going to make a dime for giving me all their secrets, right? Most sales environments are pretty cutthroat. This one was way different. The other reason is because, when I went full time, I went out and did $45,000 in production. Now, it wasn't like, oh, this became easy because I went out and did my first 2 days and made some money and sold some people and now I had confidence. Yeah, that was a little bit of it. It became easier because I had some more confidence, right? But the real reason is because I got to earn while I was learning, right? I got to be bad at this and still make some money. A lot of folks ask me, how quick do you see that I'm going to get out and make some money? And the answer is, that's up to you, right? It's as quick as you really wanted to. What are you willing to do? And so what I was willing to do was I was willing to go out and make a big, huge, stinking mess. Like, I was willing to be really bad on the phone, to be really bad in the home, and I knew that I wasn't going to be as good as some of these other people were, but I knew that I could make as much money as they did if I outworked them. And so where they were, running, say, 15 appointments, I set my goal to schedule 25 appointments because I wanted to give myself 10 more times to get told I need to think about it or no, and not stress myself out and my family out about not earning any income. And it worked, right? I went out and did 41,000 the next month. Ended up doing $250,000 in my very first 6 months here with the company. I made more money in that 6 months than any year prior to it, right? And it came behind work, hard work. The reason why, the fifth reason, and probably my final reason for the sake of time in this first video is, well, in 8 months into this thing, not only was I the #1 rookie writer with $250,000 in production, but I became an agency owner. And I got a contract in the mail that I ended up being able to put my John Hancock on. And I was able to have for once the security that if, for instance, something happened to me, I got sick, God forbid I died unexpectedly, that my family, aside from the insurance that we've got, would also be able to continue my legacy. They would be able to continue to earn an income from the business that I built. And it became real within 8 months for me that I got security that I never had before. My last industry, my wife would have had to sell off everything and just, figure it out. Here, she gets to jump right into the driver's seat and continue to grow a thriving agency, right? What I can say is everybody there, again, your experience is going to be a little bit different. Everybody's going to have their own struggles. Everybody's going to have their own reasons why they feel like quitting and why they feel like they shouldn't. This is my experience. I'm glad to share it with you. I'm looking forward to kind of speaking to you on some other things. So if you want me to kind of expand on how a person goes from selling nothing to $250,000 their first 6 months, let me know. Comment on the feed, and I look forward to putting out the next video. We'll address things like that. Or how about how to consistently go out and write $10,000 a week? I'd love to talk about that. Listen, you guys are great. Whether you decide to be on board with Symmetry Financial Group or not, I still want to bring value to you.